I did get, I'm trying to remember, because I only got 4 items this more, no, 3 items. I think I have one more item in the car, maybe. These I went back yesterday evening, and I haven't showed you guys these, but I went back and was just kind of bored, and I found 4 items last night, and then I found 4 items this morning. Liberty, what you got? Did you steal something else important? That's whatever stuffies. So this is a curl cream by Bumble and Bumble, B&B. These do really well. Probably, this is new, like I checked it. The box has a little bit of wear, but I'll let you see the bottle. This is actually a little bit different bottle than their normal bottle, so I'm not really sure what the difference is. But these bottles go for pretty consistently $35 to $40. So that was a good pickup, and I paid $2.99. Then I found some good t-shirts, which I was surprised, but they were all right next to each other, so I'm pretty sure like somebody donated all of them. This is an Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and it has like really cool sort of like a spray paint like graphic with like these like neon pink and lime green colors. It is a little bit older, not like crazy old, but it's got the like, well, it is 2003, so it is technically vintage, which is good, because anytime you can add the word vintage and it actually be vintage helps. But it has the Adult Swim like Cartoon Network tag, so it is like Cartoon Network official, which will probably make it seems like it makes the value go up pretty consistently. I have already looked this one up because I got these last night, and this one will probably, I can even get like $50, but probably at least $40 on that one. And then I found this, which, you know, some of these don't do super great, but it kind of depends on like subject matter. And this one has like the Native American skull and then the wolves, and the combination of those tend to do pretty well. It does have the vintage tag, the vintage Gildan tag. Not crazy vintage, but probably early, or probably late 90s, early 2000s. That one I would imagine I can get probably about 30 25 to 30. Maybe they've gone up, I don't know, but and then this is a Mad Magazine ringer tee, and this Thunder Creek brand does decent, but also just the subject matter mixed with the ringer mixed with the like sort of iconic 90s colors. And this one consistently goes for $40, $45. So I did really well on those t-shirts. It's getting harder and harder to find good t-shirts at Goodwill, but I must have just like hit the right moment, and somebody had just donated some. This morning I went, I think I'm gonna pause you. No, here it is. Okay, because I really wanted to show this to y'all. It's funny because one of the resellers that doesn't really like me went up on the clothes rack, and I'll let her go ahead and look through like over half of it. And then I started at the end that she had already looked at, and like she did this like side eye and sucking her teeth noise, and then like this deep sigh when I came up there and started looking at that side. And I'm thinking like, why is it like you literally already looked at this? Like, I don't know why. It's like she just doesn't like my existence. But I found this Givenchy shirt, and it is like legit. It's got the big double square tag, the sort of like soft embroidered logo, It's got the little embroidered logo back here. And then it's got the stitching, like outward stitching of the tag. This I will have to look into because they can really range. Now, they have started to sell, I'm pretty sure they're wholesale and I doubt that they're legit, but they have started to sell them like sort of wholesale on there. Not wholesale, but I think like wholesale dealers are on there. Those don't seem to go for very high prices, but when somebody takes pictures of one and it's like real, they go anywhere from like $45 to $150. So I'll have to look at this one. I'm gonna guess this one isn't anything crazy interesting, but I would guess it's probably in the like $45 to $60 range. But it is in really nice condition. I don't think this was worn because it has that like new feel to it, and the tag is not like messed up at all. So I'll look over it again, but I'm pretty sure I can list this one new without tags. Because yeah, it's just, there's no way somebody washed this shirt or even really wore it. So, and it's also got this one. I forgot. That should do well too. So I got like practically like $160, $170 in t-shirts just in the last like day and a half. It's like almost 2 o'clock in the morning now. This morning with that t-shirt, I also found these teacups and saucers. And I wasn't really sure what it was, but I saw the bird, the bluebird, sort of as I was passing by. And bluebirds on like mugs can be good, depending on the quality and the maker. But if you find teacups where there's like a bluebird, 9 times out of 10 it's like a higher end brand. So I didn't even know what the brand was until I looked at it. But it is, my good old does an excellent job of wrapping. Like, I almost never find anything broken, and it's always like thoroughly wrapped so that people can't like pick it up and cause everything to fall apart and get damaged. They really care for their items there. Like, I'm pretty sure most of the things that I find broken are because they were broken when they were donated or maybe thrown into the donation bins. I don't think, from the way I've watched the employees at this Goodwill work, they don't really mishandle the items at all, which is nice, which a lot of places do. These are in very nice condition. Again, I'm not so sure these were ever used. Maybe once, but like even the logo on the bottom, this is very pristine. Oh, these got hummingbirds too. That's cool. Sorry if that's loud. So it is 3 little saucers. And by the way, it's Steckel. I'm pretty sure is how you pronounce it. It's Stechcol. I've seen the brand before, but I've never like figured out how to pronounce it. It's got 2 of the ones with butterflies and flowers, and one with a hummingbird and flowers, and then 3 of the teacups, which has like the bluebird and the roses. I don't think there's anything down there, baby. Ooh, I just got dizzy. There's nothing down there. It's all just boxes. I'm sorry. No, lay down. Lay down. There's nothing here. No, you don't want to go down there. You're gonna get stuck. Liberty, no. Liberty Dixie. Why are you so angry? Go lay down. Go. Stop. Now, stop. Lay down. Lay down. Come on, you look like you got sunburned today. You weren't out there super long. It was really hot, though. Now start putting your sunscreen on. But anyways, the cups and saucers, I'll have to check on patterns. I couldn't find any of these when I did comps. Like I put bluebird and rose, I put flower and bluebird, you know, whatever. So I will have to look a little bit closer, but most of the teacups and saucers you can sell for at least $25 a piece, and they don't have a super high sell-through rate, but they're consistent, especially in their value. And I feel like these are really nice, the theme and the design of them. So it was like $3.99 for the set of 3. Well, technically it's 6-piece. So y'all give me a second. I gotta figure out what she's trying to get. I still have no idea what she wanted. But we went outside and took a break, so hopefully she'll let it go. But also this morning, aside from the shirt and the teacups and saucers, I found 2 of the Disney Parks Tiki sippy cups, the straws, and they're like in a really nice condition. I'm not so sure they were actually used or not. They don't really look like they were, but especially with it being like Disney season, these should do alright. They sell for like $14, $15. But what I'll probably do, because I paid $1.99 each, is I'll probably list them together and put them at like $26. So those should sell pretty quickly and easily. Then I went and got my Subway, which almost killed me, and then I went to a yard sale, and I thought that they would be closing up, because at that point it was like, by the time I got there, it was a little bit afternoon, and turns out it didn't start until noon. It was from like noon to 6 on Thursday, and noon to 6 on Friday, and then earlier on Saturday, I think. So I was actually one of the first people there, because there also just wasn't a lot of signage. I think there's like maybe 2 signs total. And it was a Thursday, so I don't think a lot of people were like looking for yard sales. Are you gonna... You're such a punk. I know it's past your bedtime. I know. And you're grumpy. I know how you get. I asked about some magazines, and they said 50 cents each, like the Life magazines. And then I asked about something else, and it was like super cheap. So I started just making a pile, because it was one of those where it became obvious that everything was gonna be pretty cheap. So I just made a pile, because usually when things are that cheap, they're trying to get rid of stuff, and if you make a big pile, they'll give you like a really good deal. A lot of times like less than the 50 cents a piece. So I ended up with quite a few items, and he only charged me $20 for everything. I didn't get to film a lot there, because I was kind of going around, and then there was some music playing in the kitchen, so I had to kind of avoid that. But then I went in the living room, and the lady struck up a conversation about the previous owners of the house, and there's like a whole story about her and her friend both having cancer, and with everything my mom's been going through, is kind of like a trigger one, so I didn't really want to like film all of it, but also I just didn't feel like it was appropriate to be filming at that moment. So I'd stopped the camera, And we just had sort of a little chat and conversation about it. And then at that point, I just didn't turn the camera back on. But I got a lot of good things. I got these Roth, or Allen and Roth floor registers, and these are like a faux wood, like a wood grain. I got both of these, and I think there's one other in here that's a little bit different. This is like a heavier duty metal, like a brown metal. I think they're all 14 by 12 or 4 by 12. But these will go for probably $20-$25 a piece. So that right there is like really good. Cheapo, like, floor registers aren't really worth reselling, although they are good for picking up if you know you need some for your home, because these things are expensive in the hardware stores. Like, they're like a minimum of $20 in hardware stores, even the cheap ones. But if they're like a brand like that, or like a special design, and you can get them inexpensively, then definitely pick those up, because they will sell. It is worth it to people at that point. And then sometimes those designs get taken, like they get discontinued too. I got this, I haven't even looked through this, but I've been doing pretty well with like vintage crochet, knitting, doily type books. I'm gonna throw that bag away because it's ripped. So I just noticed this top one, and this is probably, I would say, 1950s, 60s. I don't know, we're about to find out. 1950. So the older ones do better. I usually try to lot them up like in 4s or 5s. This is a Learn How book. I haven't seen this before. But this looks like it's got multiple things. And this is 1941, so this is even older. It's mostly, yeah, it's just knitting, really. Embroidery and some cross stitch. But that should, I would probably be able to sell that one by itself. But we got many here. So I should be able to make multiple lots of these and probably sell them around like $15 to $20 mark. I'm not sure if that's the original cover or if we got something else going on here. It's a little weird. But they should do pretty well. I'm pretty sure this is from the 40s. Yeah, 1946. Some of the ones from the 40s sell pretty well just by themselves. That's really cute. Festive stoles. But when people started knitting and crocheting all kinds of things, and when doilies started to come back, these became more valuable, especially the older ones. Some of these patterns are like practically impossible to find, and they're just super elaborate. Like most of the newer patterns you're gonna find like online or something are just not super elaborate. I mean, like this one, it's like literally a spiral of like flowers. Those are like the super iconic deer. Also, I've decided the reason that women have like contributed to so many of the technological advances and really scientific advances that practically none of them ever got credit for is because they're the true mathematicians. I mean, like, the patience and the aptitude it takes just to make a doily, like, and to make it so precise. It's just, ooh, wow. That's just cool. That would even be cool just to frame. Like, if you're like a fashion designer or you have like a little like clothing shop, that would be really cool in a frame. But yeah, there's lots of them. Oh, here's an old Boy Scout. Ooh, Boy Scout book. I wonder what year this is. I don't know how Boy Scout books do. Most of their little like vintage patches and badges, they have to be really unique or really old. But I've never looked up a book before. The Gypsy Vest book. I bet that will sell on its own. I mean, really, I probably have a good solid $100 right here in vintage crafting, knitting, crocheting books. Here's even a pattern, so that will be really good. That will probably sell on its own. So yeah, I'll take a closer look at those at some point, but that was a good deal. And then, I don't know what this is. It's some sort of decoupage decals, but they're like sort of mid-century farm scenes. I don't know if there's a date on here, but I'm pretty sure I could sell those on their own, even if it's like $8 or something. Like, that's so lightweight and just easy to deal with. And then the Life magazines, I tend to pick them up if they're vintage. So, quick story. In 2008, the recession began. Someone totaled my car that November, and then the place that me and my daughter's father and his family worked went out of business. Like, literally like 14 days after someone totaled my car. So then I was carless and unemployed. And they gave me, the check that they cut me and settled for, because of the economy at that point, like, it was impossible to get reimbursed appropriately. And I ended up getting like a $2,100 check. And because of the economy, also, used vehicles were like astronomically high because people couldn't afford or even have the credit to go get, or job security to go get approved for like a loan. So people were buying a lot of used vehicles. Even if it just barely ran, it was way higher than what its real value should have been. Like, if you walked into an AutoZone during that time, there was always a line because people were just repairing their vehicles, even over trying to get a new vehicle or whatever. So I was trying to figure out what to do with that check because I wasn't going to be able to buy a car for it. Like, there was nothing I could find that would even come close to it. And I was on unemployment, and the unemployment rate in the county I was in was like 11%. Like, there was nothing available, and I mostly had restaurant experience, and restaurants were just closing left and right. So I started reselling again, and I started taking it a lot more serious. Like, I was like flipping through like antique dealer books and like glassware books and all kinds of things, just trying to learn anything I could so that if I went out with like $20 that I could try to turn it into something else. And I decided to take that check and I was going to try to make at least one bigger investment. And I was looking through estate sales and I noticed one that said like 550 Life magazines. So I clicked on it, and they were all from like the 40s and the 50s. And they were very like iconic, you know, like the Marilyn Monroes and the Eisenberg and the World War II and Churchill and like all that stuff. And they looked from the pictures to be in pretty good condition. Because most of them, like, these are not in great condition. I'll have to list them in like acceptable condition. Like, they're barely hanging on here. But those looked from the pictures to be pretty good, and they were all in like the identical like filing boxes. So usually if somebody takes the time to like buy all the same storage boxes and the boxes look pretty clean, that person actually cared for those items. So I drove like 40 minutes all the way on the other side of Nashville and showed up. And it was such a like epic move. It was so Like, I'll have to, like, at some point I'll write about it, because I do write. Like, I'm working on literally, like, 3 books, but I show up in this little tiny, like, vehicle, and what was it even at that point? I can't remember what I was even, because it was like, good Lord, I cannot remember. My ex had some kind of vehicle that had been given to him by like his sister or something, but I can't remember what it was. But I showed up in that, really small, not a lot of room, and I walk in, and there's a lot of really nice things in there, but I just go straight to the magazines, and the magazines were still there. And there's several older gentlemen, like, sort of like looking at them, and they're kind of all, lingering, but you could tell they weren't going to buy them, because I think they were asking like $6.50 or something like that for all of them. It ended up being a little over $1 a piece. And I mean, that's a lot of money for magazines. And magazines, like, especially during that time, there weren't as many online resellers. Most of those people looking at that would have been looking to put them in like an antique booth or something, and they wouldn't have been able to fill up that antique booth with all the magazines, and they would have slowly sold over time. So that's a pretty large investment to resell out of an antique booth. So you could tell they wanted them, but they wanted to like pick and choose or buy a couple, and they weren't allowing people to buy individual magazines. You had to buy all of them together, because what they didn't want was people to come in and start shuffling through them and ripping them up. And so they actually had somebody watching, like sitting at the end of the magazines, because they didn't want people to tear them up. So I went in, saw they were all there, picked a few up, just enough to like see that they were in pretty good condition. I think I ended up seeing one that had a little bit of a condition issue, but all the ones I saw were in good condition. And I was like, well, then most of them have to be in good condition. So I went back to the front and stood in line, and I got up to the front, and I was like, I want to get the magazines. And she's like, well, you do know that you have to get all of them. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I want to get all of them. And she's like, and they're $650. Because at this point, like, I was like 26 or something, 26 or 27. And I looked like I was like 16. It was the good days when I had the good skin. And like, I looked super young, and I was very tiny, like skinny. And she looked at me like I was crazy and bewildered, but she, rang me up, swiped my card, and then they didn't have like a two-wheeler dolly thing to bring them out to my car, so I was literally like having to carry box by box out to my car, and those older men just sat there like watching me, like one at a time, like take them out to the car, and you could just see it was just such a mixture of emotions in their faces, One of them was like, you really know how to work, don't you? And I was like, yeah, you could help me. Like, even if you just scoot them to the door. But long story short is I sold them for probably an average of like $15 a piece, because some of them sold in like a $40-$50 range. Some of them only sold for like 10. The last like 30 or so of them I ended up selling at a flea market for like $50 for all of them. So on those I kind of recouped my money, but there was a handful from like the early 60s, and then some that had some more condition issues that I didn't really want to list online. So it ended up working out around $15 a piece. And I sold them all within, I don't know, like 4 or 5 months. And then I took us to Disney World. So those, like, in the height, this was 2009, in the height of like the recession, I managed to pull that off. It was absolutely nuts. So when I see vintage Life magazines, I tend to pick them up because I've dealt with them, but also because it's just kind of like a memory of mine. This is the worst condition one. This is 1971 Muskie, the Democratic frontrunner. We got China and Nixon, 1971. We got Football Frenzy, and then How Drugs and Disease Affect Your Mind. I think this one will probably do alright because of the cover. We got Jackie Kennedy, 1971. We got this chick wearing the Detroit Lions, Christina Ford. Oh. I didn't realize she was part of the Ford family. This one on children. I've seen this cover before. I don't remember what it goes for. And then Americans Go Shopping for New Cars, which I feel like that one will do alright. Not the greatest condition. Again, I'm going to list them all in acceptable so that people aren't, you know, upset. And what I do to kind of help them sell is I'll actually also put in the listing like some of the ads, because some people just want the ads out of these. Because some of the ads actually, if you wanted to tear up magazines that are old, some of the ads will sell for like $10, $15 by themselves. So like I'll like list some of the ads that are in there and take a couple pictures of them. I don't know what these will go for right now, especially with the condition, but for 50 cents a piece, like, what is that, like $3.50? I got them. Don't know if this is worth it. But it's an ear thermometer, and you can actually hang it on the wall. And it is in new condition. It was like open box, made in Taiwan, Fora IR20. So I don't really know the value of this, but everything was so cheap, I was like, surely that has to be worth something. I did find a Frankenstein chicken nugget, which this one is going to go to my daughter, because these are actually getting really hard to find. This is a 1992 one, and it's got his little arms and his little Frankenstein head, but that'll go to her. I found this glass flower bouquet. That's not going to be a crazy high seller, but I might be able to get like 10 bucks for it or something. I did get this pajama gown, but I got it from my mom. I'm pretty sure she'll be able to wear this, but it's got butterflies all over, and she loves butterflies. But if you find the Croft and Borrow in good condition, like you want it in pretty good condition, sometimes they get a little worn and peely, but in pretty good condition in plus sizes, like probably extra large through like 3X, they do pretty well. You can very consistently sell them between $20 and $30 because people are really attached to this brand, and I think that they must fit well or something with people who wear like plus sizes, because they tend to really like this brand. So if you find those at yard sales, like $1 or something, or even $2, they're a good seller. This is just a silky, flashy, vintage Riviera Hotel and Casino shirt, but it's got that super shiny, like, satin. I don't know what its fabric content is. It's polyester. And it's got the, like, sort of 80s, like, almost like faux vent backing. Very Michael Jackson. Very good quality. I don't know what I can sell that for, but I would imagine probably $25, $30 at least. Some of those surprised me, but I would say at least. This is a really nice Vera Wang. It's in really nice condition. I don't tend to pick up a lot of Vera Wang, but the design of this one is nice. The condition is really, really nice. It's got all of its like little zippers and kebabs. And it's got 2 different handle options, which is always a plus. And then it has this really nice like floral design on it. So I don't know what this will go for, but I think I can probably get at least 40 for that one. And I'm running lower on handbags right now. Handbags are a big seller for me, but I'm very picky about the ones I buy. So I tend to sell them fairly quickly. And I'll actually start running out of handbags sometimes because I'm so picky about them. But I need some. I also found this Fenton hand-painted daisy egg. Now, most of these tend to have bases, but I'm not sure if this one ever had a base or not because it has a smooth bottom and the Fenton mark on it. So I'm going to have to look at it a little closer, but it does still have its sticker. It needs to be wiped because it has a little bit of like dust gunk on it. But it doesn't have any chips or breaks, and it is like artist signed. Not sure what I'll be able to get on that, but I would say at least like 20, maybe 30. I found this Burton, I always get confused. Is it Buxton or Burton? I always get very confused about that. Anyways, it's like a leather floral wallet. That should do all right. I would imagine probably like $20 or so on that. But it's in really nice condition too. I don't know if this is worth anything, but a lot of these like crafting, sewing, vintage items, you can't find them anymore. So I went ahead and got it because I'm pretty sure it's like new in package also. But it is the Lil Notcher, the hand tool that cuts a perfect notch on both sides of a single-sided U channel at the same time. Made in Taiwan. I mean, that's a very long product title. I think I had a couple items in a side pouch here. I was just thinking about that, and I'm going to look before I forget, because I still got more in the main pouch, but I feel like I am going to forget. Yes, I did. So I did get, these are probably for me unless I find out that they're worth something. So I got Offspring, Americana, and then I got this Steve Austin Stone Cold Metal, which I'll probably sell this one actually, because I don't think I really will. I'm not a big metal fan, but it's 1998, and this was sort of a big time during wrestling. It's in really nice condition, and it's holographic. I don't know if this has any value right now, but even if it's like $3, I'll probably just end up selling that one because I'm probably not going to listen to it. And then I got TLC because I was like, oh, listen, I like some TLC. But it ended up not having TLC in it. It has Casey and JoJo, which is fine. But then it has, which I'm kind of glad I got it, then it has the Master P Make 'Em Say single. 1998. And it's just the single CD. So I'm going to keep that. Definitely for myself. Anyways. And then I got this for me because I literally just run out of Epsom salt like maybe a week or so. And this stuff is pretty pricey. So I went ahead and got that. And then I found this. I don't know if this brand is really known, but this is definitely new. Like, it has not been used. It's got like its original inserts and very soft cowhide. It's called Amity, And it looks like this was sold at Walgreens, but back in the day, Walgreens actually sold some pretty decent products because it was more of a, like, department store almost, like a Woolworth or something. But it sold all the way back then. I would say probably 80s, maybe late 70s, 80s, for $20, which was good money back then. That was like a week's worth of groceries back then, easy. So I'm gonna look it up, but I would imagine I could get, you know, at least $20 or $30 for this, especially that it's new and it's just so soft. It's a very nice leather wallet. I did get these 2 pair of scissors because, and they're Westcott, which is a decent brand, because you'll notice at some point, because I do shipping videos sometimes, I will set my scissors down, and every time I set them down in a different place while I'm shipping, and every time I end up losing them. And so I've been looking for good scissors so that I can have like 3 or 4 pair, so I'm not wasting time like looking for my scissors. Though I lost them the other day, so I went and found my parents' scissors, mostly my mom's scissors, and I brought them down here and they didn't work. Like, they weren't cutting through anything. So I was like, well, I'll go get the other pair. So I brought them down here and they didn't work. Like, they weren't cutting through anything. So I got her these pink handled scissors because obviously they need a new pair of scissors. I was about to lose my mind over scissors the other day. I did get these. These are just little painted wood Wings International, which is a bigger vintage like crafting brand. The little sunflowers, I have several of the bundle of 3, not 3 flowers. And then I got some of the bigger ones with just 1 sunflower, and then I got some with the 2 smaller sunflowers. I could probably sell these individually. They'll take a little bit to sell and they won't sell for much. But whenever I find quantity like this, I could lot them together. But most people aren't going to buy 30 of these because they're not, whatever they're working on, they don't require that many. And also I can make more money over time if I just do a quantity listing and it's not very much work at all. Because like I can do a quantity listing on these, for instance, like all of the big guys, and then I can do a sell similar for the other 2 with quantity listings, and then I'm done. So it's like getting a bunch of things listed at once with almost no time. Like practically just 2 listings, but you're listing like 10 items. There is one other thing I don't know where. Uh-oh. Well, it might be lost forever. Where did it go? I put it in a pocket. I hope I didn't lose it, because that was like super cool. Put it in the purse. I feel like I remember definitely putting the egg somewhere safe, and then I feel like I had a ring, basically, is what I'm looking for. And I could have sworn that I put that in one of the side pockets or something, because I wanted to keep it safe. Let me give it one more look-see. It's not very big, so it could go unfound. Well, I think maybe I'll find it, maybe I won't. It was cool though. It was an open, it was like black and gold with like rhinestones. And it was like the tail went around and then there was a trunk and it was like very highly enameled and then it was like open between the tail and the trunk. So it was super cool. Don't know where it's at. Don't know if I'll ever find it. Don't think I even showed it on the video. If I can find one like it, I'll put a comp up so that y'all can see what it looks like. Because I was actually really excited about that ring. It wasn't, I don't think it was any kind of high-end designer, even though it did look pretty cool. So it could have been. But yeah, it seems to have disappeared. Hopefully I'll find it. Oh, I did also find this, by the way. This was pretty exciting. I don't think it's like, I can't remember the name right now. There's a name of an artist who does these that is like way better. But this is interesting because it's very like the bag itself is well crafted. Like all the little teeth, and none of them are broken, which is good. They did felt it on the bottom, so there could possibly be a mark down there, but I'll never know because they like hot glued the felt on the bottom. That was a big thing for a while. Let's ruin our artifacts with felt. But it's just an interesting like marking on here, and I can't tell if it's just like almost like a hobbyist studio piece, because they did a good job if it is, or if it is like more of a known pottery artist. But it is pottery. These are sort of like considered brown bag vases. But I actually really like this sort of like almost primitive marking on it, because it just adds character. I don't know what I'll be able to get for this. I'm gonna try to investigate a little bit more just to make sure it's not something extra special. But otherwise, I'm probably gonna list it between like $40 and $50. I will have to ship that one very carefully because pottery like that can break very easily. But that is everything. I mean, that was a lot of stuff for 20 bucks, I feel like. I think I did good at that yard sale. I'm excited to go out into the country tomorrow. I am a little bit dehydrated, but the good news is that the storms that came through has cooled things down. Not drastically, but it was peaking in the high 80s, close to 90 prior to the storms, and tomorrow's high is supposed to be like 74. So it should be quite lovely, and it's going to be sunny. So the good news is that I won't be dehydrated on top of being dehydrated, but I'm going to drink some more water tonight, probably grab me a Gatorade when I stop by the gas station in the morning, and just make sure I take it kind of slow, other than tripping other resellers on the way out there. If I find that ring, I will put it in the next haul video. If I don't and I can find a comp, I'll show you a comp. Otherwise, you're just gonna have to be like me and be heartbroken and have no idea if you'll ever see it again. I hope you'll have a good night and a good weekend. By the time y'all see this, because I'm like 8 videos behind at this point, it'll probably be a whole nother weekend, so you probably won't even know the difference if I hadn't told you. But I will see y'all next time.